Women are dangerous when they are well informed and are able to care for their own needs. I'm going to say that one more time. Women are dangerous when they, right, know how to care for their own needs and when they are well informed. That's what the patriarchal society has prioritized. Is one of the reasons why it's been a priority for women not to know about and have knowledge about their own intimate body parts, right? But you know what? The time is now for a new paradigm. It's time that we knew how to care for ourselves better, and it's time that we discovered the truth, which is that we have more control over our health and our pelvic health than we've been led to believe, right? Now, I have a solution for you because when I realized how of a big problem this was, I created a masterclass, okay? Now, a masterclass is going to bring you full circle and it's going to teach you so many dynamic and beautiful tips and techniques on how to care for yourself and how to take care of your pelvic floor. And once you leave that masterclass, you're going to be a very well informed, more so than now, and you're going to have some beautiful tips on how to care for yourself. So type in the word masterclass into the comments, right? And you're going to get a special invite through Messenger, right? So that's what I want to talk about today. I am going to bring my model out. So get ready for that, okay? We're going to have a little bit of an anatomy lesson, which I think is pretty fantastic. But thank you for watching on the replay because I know a lot of people watch on the replay. And welcome to my Pelvic Power Hour. My name is Isa Herrera and I help women have happier lady parts. I've written 5 books on the topic. I have taught on the university level. So I am no stranger to what women go through on the Dr. Rose show. Okay? Over a decade. A decade. Now, this is also hit the share button because sometimes this video goes into the abyss and then you'll have it on your timeline or share it to a girlfriend who you think needs to know this information. Okay. Now, in a recent survey of British women, but women all over, 44% were unable on a medical illustration, like an anatomy book, um, be able to tell the difference between their vaginas and their vulva, and they didn't know what a vagina was. Now, that really worries me. That really worries me. And this lack of basic knowledge about the female body is one of the reasons why we have industries making money off our backs. I'm talking about Western medicine. I'm talking about the pharmaceutical, right? I'm talking about labiaplasties that women do because they feel like they're different from someone else, and you are. It's like a fingerprint. No two are the same, but it is you and it is your divinity. The problem is that we have these pictures out there that when we look at them and they're all photoshopped, we start to believe and we start to integrate that, oh, it doesn't look quite the same, right? It must be different. If I'm different, maybe it's ugly, right? Maybe it's smelly. Maybe it's lopsided. Maybe some of the vaginal lips are bigger than the other and it throws you off. And there you are trying to figure out what's wrong with you. And the truth is that there's nothing wrong with you. The only problem that I see with pelvic floor issues and anatomy is that women don't know. Education is power, right? And it makes me pretty mad. Does it make you mad? I want you to give me a yes or a no. We have a lot of people here today. Thank you everyone for showing up. I'm taking questions too. So don't be shy. No, nothing's off the table. Um, so that's why women get labiaplasties, right? Surgeries that actually I've treated a ton of and create a lot of scar tissue. Or they'll get a mesh surgery because they don't know that these kind of issues, leaking, prolapse, pelvic discomfort, pain with sitting, pain with walking, these things can be treated holistically and naturally. And the moment that we start to outsource our health, and the moment that we say, hey, take this from me because it's too uncomfortable for me to hold it, and I get it. I was there. I was uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable that I was a pelvic therapist and I told no one about it because I was ashamed. I lived in fear. I thought that there was something wrong with me because that's what I was led to believe. And maybe this is your experience too, because it is not unique to me. And it happens all the time. Women being marginalized, put in the corner, told they're hysterical. Here's a prescription pad, go home. It's in your head. But the moment that we know our anatomy, the moment that we know how to care for ourselves, is the moment that we put ourselves in the position of power, that we put ourselves back in the game. Then no one can pull the wool over our eyes. And this is one of the reasons why I do my master classes. And when I do, it's huge. We have 43,000 women signed up. No, that is not a typo. That is the truth. And I had to block off one day because it was too many people and I got scared. So I said, okay, so one of the days already sold out. So tap in the word masterclass because this event is not to be missed. And for those who want to go deeper, and I mean deeper, and you're ready to have someone like me hold your hand through the process, I'm going to have a dynamic offer for you. Okay, so definitely. And my Q&As are epic. So stay to the end because I don't leave until I answer every the questions, and sometimes it could be 2 hours, okay? Past the masterclass, which is insane. Now, I want to talk a little bit about anatomy. Now, first of all, I'm going to get my model out, so get ready, okay? The pelvic floor is not just this. The pelvic floor starts at the bottom of your ribs and goes to the bottom of your hip bone. Everything is related to it. You are not just a hole or vagina. You are a vulva. You are a back. And you are an inside, right? And once we start to understand and to define ourselves more globally instead of microscopically and only one way, it's the moment that we open the cage the doors to our cages, and we fly free. And we do what? We reclaim our queendom and we reclaim our divinity and we reclaim what is rightfully ours that's been stolen or is trying to be diminished or dimmed down or controlled. Okay? So, as a pelvic floor therapist, I have treated over 15,000 women, and I'm going to tell you right now, over and over again, I see the same thing. Nobody knows their anatomy, nobody knows how to care for themselves. They subject themselves to medications they don't need. Because why? Because a good doctor gave them the prescription, no informed consent. So, what do women? Women trust. I trust. I trust my doctor. And then that's how we go down the rabbit hole. And I'm going to tell you something, that rabbit hole is not pretty. I went down the rabbit hole and I lived to survive it and overcome it because I put my self care first and I put my priority first, right? So the pelvic floor is a lot. You are a lot, but you need to know how to care for yourself, right? So I want to talk about, and this model is to do justice, the clitoris. Because the funny thing is that the only thing that these collegiate women and older women could identify in their lady part area was the clitoris. And when they did, they thought it was only the little part that sticks out, which is called the glans. But I'm going to give you some details today because you know what? We're going to go deep. Now, the clitoris is 8 centimeters long. That's about 3 inches. What you see is only the outside part. It has like a head that sticks out and these legs, right? Because it's very beautiful and very dynamic. And sometimes we start to think that if we're not having some sort of sensation only in that one area, that something is wrong with us sexually. But it's not. So remember that, right? Because I think that the huge issue here is not really understanding our anatomy, not knowing how to touch ourselves, not knowing how to care for our pelvic floors, not knowing the connection that the pelvic floor has to the bladder and everything, which, by the way, I'm teaching on the class because I'm going to go deep. I'm on a mission here, okay? Now, the vagina is a birth canal, okay? That doesn't define us. That's not us, right? Like I said before, everything, the front, the back, the inside, the top, and the bottom. Remember that. Okay. And plus, when you get to the masterclass, I give you an anatomy workbook because I think everybody needs one. I may even go into more detail on it, but you get the anatomy workbook, which is pretty fantastic right now. I wanted to make sure that you knew that. I have a question here. Okay. Yeah, put it up. I'm reading it. You said no questions were off the table. Oh, no. Oh, maybe I should watch what I say. So here, can I still do exercises to strengthen my lady parts while wearing a pessary for pelvic organ prolapse? That depends on your pessary, which is why when someone gives you something to put inside your vagina, you need to ask these questions, which is called informed consent. Okay. You just got to today get on the phone and call your doctor. Say, what type was it? What are my restrictions? How many times do I need to take it out to clean it? Do I have to go to you to clean it? Okay. By the way, as part as my program, I have a whole module on pelvic organ healing and prevention because honestly, we have over 50% of women with pelvic organ prolapse, older women. And by the way, this situation, Linda, thank you so much for sharing this because this situation that you have right here, this is what I'm talking. This is what makes me crazy. Over and over again, I see this, right? And what happens? The doctor will give you a diagnosis. You internalize the diagnosis. You become the diagnosis. The diagnosis freezes you. Because and I have to give tough love and I have to because we've been held down. Knowledge has been held from us. And unless you go to master classes like mine, by the way, type in the word masterclass to get an invite. It's going to go to your messenger. I'm finally getting this right. Okay, the tech is crazy. And the thing is, then you have someone saying, hey, and by the way, I love pessaries. I'd rather a pessary than a mesh surgery or a tension vaginal surgery, which, by the way, another industry that's making a ton of money off our backs for things that can be treated holistically, organically with lifestyle medicine. And that's what I'm going to bring to you in this masterclass. Okay. Now, I want to talk about this because a lot of the women in my community suffer from lady part dryness, right? Fragile tissue. And we've been made, and I'm going to get really organic here. So bear with me because if I don't get organic, nothing's going to happen. Okay. Now, this is what happens. We're made to believe a whole industry on feminine odor hygiene products, panty liners that are scented, sprays to put on our vaginas, special sort of like soaps, right? Douches. All those things are really bad vulva care. And by the way, I talk about vulva care in my program, okay? Which opens up on February 5th. Okay, I'm opening February 5th, where, it's a live program. And one of the things that's the hardest for women to do is to give up all these products. And then they wonder why they have vaginal itching, irritation, burning, thinning of the skulls, poor pH, and there's candida and all those kind of things, and then we wonder like what's happening because we have, how do I say this, we've been um grabbed in. We've been led to believe. And by the way, their promotions and their marketing are very powerful and they know how to trigger us. So that's one of the things that I want to talk about. Stop using those things. Okay? Nothing in that area. It's not smelling. It's you. It's your scent. It's your essence. Okay? Type in the word masterclass to get an invite. I'm trying to see if there's another question here. This is from Penny. Will you address the shrinking of the outer clitoris post-menopause and the less sensitivity? Sometimes this is what I think about the less sensitivity. I think in menopause, when we have the hormonal changes, right, and the estrogen starts to dip, and we're not doing natural remedies to make ourselves juicy, and we're not doing the pelvic floor work, what I find is that there's a tightness that happens in menopause to a lot of women in menopause, which is one of the things I talk about in my program, think that they're too loose. But because the shifts in the hormonal levels, right, especially estrogen, things tend to do this, get more restricted. So there's less energy, there's less sensation, right? And so we have to figure out how to increase sensation and energy to that area using holistic techniques specifically designed for women's well being in their lady parts. I hope that makes sense, okay? So I think the less sensitivity is one, less awareness, not self care, no preventative care. I mean, there's a million reasons why, the clitoris shrinks. But besides the hormonal thing, I think is also that we start to think that we're only a vagina and we don't work on our external vulva area, which is why I created a whole module on external techniques because women didn't know that you can access the pelvic floor muscles externally and you can do a whole bunch of different things because we're trained to think that intimacy is um intercourse, and there's such a thing as intimacy being outer course, being everything, including the spirit and the soul and love. And when we understand how to care for these parts and we understand how to love ourselves more, we have more power. So when somebody says, hey, go take this pessary, put it inside, doesn't give you instructions, we have to stop at that moment and say, hold up, risk versus benefit, informed consent, instruction, and never let a doctor get up before you. One thing that I noticed over the years on the Dr. Rose show, which was really interesting, I'm gonna give you a big tip. You know how they love when you are in their office and they are the ones that get up first and you're sitting there going like, what? Is anyone gonna help me? Is anyone gonna answer my question? And they basically dismiss you by getting up. One thing I learned is that when the doctor gets up from his chair, I don't get up. I just wait and sit and I say, no, I still have a couple more questions. Because when you go into your doctor's office and sometimes you go in with a lot of pain, and I get it. What I like to see women do is have an alter ego. Like when I go to the doctor, I become Isis. That's my alter ego name. Now I'm sharing it with you, right? Like the goddess, Isabella. Okay, Isabella. So when I'm Isabella, I don't, I'm different, right? It puts me into more power because sometimes it's like Clark Kent and Superman, right? Sometimes you need a little bit of help. So inform and being informed and knowledge and having knowledge about what they're prescribing is critical. But sometimes you need to step outside yourself and see yourself from the outside and then project what it is that you want so you're not so close to the information, right? Because I'm one thing that I know over the years is that we like to romanticize the wound as humans. We like the suffering. We believe that that's part of being human. That, yeah, of course, we all have to have our dark nights of the soul. I've had many myself. But the human spirit is made to be beautiful and happy, right? And that suffering is something that you could be triggered into suffering because you have triggers. And so the most important thing is like, yeah, you're going to have triggers, you're going to have suffering, it's going to happen, but how fast can you bounce back out of it? And that's part of the resiliency that you're going to learn in my masterclass, because when you know better, you do better. And when you have knowledge and you take action, you become powerful and you take control of your queendom. And then you wear your crown. And that is what it's meant to be. And that's what we need to do. And that's what we need to go as a collective, right? Now, if you know someone who's suffering from pelvic floor, send them this video or tag them on Facebook, okay? Because it's very, very important, okay? Now, this is another question here. Okay, can you put that? This is a big one. Let me see if I can answer this one. Okay, this is another. Um, Call your doctor, the person that prescribed, Linda, your pessary, and ask them about the pessary. The fact that you can take it out, you should, I'm not going to give medical advice here. Call your MD and ask them the specifics of it. I think that that would be the best thing that you can do. Okay? Now, if someone already has a prolapse, will low level bioidentical creams help? It depends on the individual. Many times I've seen it help. But it depends. You have to have the blood work. You have to be working with somebody who actually knows what they're doing when it comes to bioidentical hormones. Because what I find, the majority of the people out there do not know and put women on Preverin and all this other stuff that has a lot of bad side effects. So make sure that when you investigate something that you become a consumer. Now, pelvic organ prolapse, leaking, pelvic pain. These are physical conditions. They're not psychological disorders. And because of that, putting a cream on your vulva or your vagina is not going to be the end all to be all, because the only way through and the only way out is through self care, is through taking care of the container. Now, if something is a physical condition, what are you doing physically to heal yourself and not rely external to yourself? Okay, type in the word masterclass, because I'm going to be teaching some extraordinary self-care techniques that I think all women in all universes need to know about. All right, and for those who want to go deeper, I'm going to invite you to, and I only have a certain number of seats for my female pelvic alchemy program, because I'm going to cap that too. So, right, it's all life coaching, group coaching, and I take you through it personally. It's really a dynamic program that I absolutely love, and it is geared to awaken the healer, the guru, the doctor within you. That's what I love the best. I love when I see in the community, because we have a community associated with it, and I read the comments, and another woman comes in and says, "Hey, try this because I tried this in the program and it succeeded." Or they say, "I really got it. I understand how to care for myself." And then I'm thinking, well, then I've done what I needed to do, right? Because the thing is, you can't outsource your pelvic floor. You can't outsource your prolapse. You can't outsource your intimacy pain. You cannot outsource your leaking to panty liners and diapers. It's not going to work, because we're dealing with physical issues. And when we deal with physical issues, we need to have the foundation of how to care for ourselves properly. And even if you see a doctor, even if you see a pelvic PT, Pilates individual, whomever, they still need to help awaken the doctor within you. And hopefully they're trained enough to understand that Kegel's enough for everybody. And I'm going to be covering that in the masterclass. The Kegel controversy. You want to write that up? Because the Kegel controversy is something that is just like, it's making me nuts. So when it comes to taking care of ourselves and being an informed consumer, women, we need to what? We need to come up and we need to be the what? The consumer, right? Because we cannot outsource our vaginas. And I have see some physical therapists here. Very good. I'm glad you joined. Thank you. And we cannot outsource our self-care. We need proper guidance. We need an expert. But at the end of the day, you are the only one that's responsible for your well-being, for your vitality, and you have to be informed. And don't just take someone's prescription because they handed it to you over the table and you think that's going to be the panacea that's going to bring you to the other side. And don't agree to a surgery if you haven't had an informed consent and you don't know risk versus benefit and you haven't done your due diligence. For what? For something that can be treated organically and holistically? Pelvic floor dysfunction is a physical disorder. And we need to treat it as such. And we need to be informed about how to care for ourselves. And I think that that's really super important. And I think that that's what the Me Too movement is all about, the Time's Up movement. It's all about us stepping into our power and knowing our divine anatomy and how to care for it. Right? Any more questions out there? Guys, you're being so shy. Okay. So I'm really grateful that everyone is here. I'm Isa Herrera, and I help women have happier lady parts. I'm also a five-time author, so I'm very well versed in all things physical therapy for women. And I am so delighted and honored that I have 43,000 women signed up for the masterclass. My goal is 50,000. I get numbers stuck in my head and then I gotta do it. I'm like one of these, I got the 50,000 all of a sudden. I then now we have 43,000. One of the dates is sold out already because I could not put another person in there. I was like, we're gonna break the internet. So type in the word masterclass. The link is in the bio. Share it with your girlfriends. Share it with your mom, right? Your grandmother, your daughter, your kids, everybody. And if you're a guy watching this, I am sure that you know one or two women who need help. So pass it on to them. It's actually your responsibility as well. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Super excited to be able to help in whichever way that I can. This is my Pelvic Power Hour show. It's every Friday at 1 p.m. I will be back here next Friday. If you have questions, just type them in, okay? Because I'm gonna go back and I look at all the questions, and most people watching the replay. So thank you for that. And thank you. Oh my God, we have over hundreds of women here. Thank you so much for showing up. And thank you so much for putting your trust in me. I really appreciate it. Type in the word masterclass to get the invite in Messenger to my webinar. And know that when you do better, right? When you know better, correction, when you know better, you do better. And for me, and I had a big wake up call this week that I'm not going to go into, but I had a big wake up call. And I realized that it's really important that we change our legacies. We change the legacy, we change the energy moving forward. That we are not our past, that we are not defined by the darkness, that we're not defined by our illness, right? That the only way out is through, that you will have a dark night of the soul, but you're going to survive it and you're going to thrive and you're not a victim of your circumstances. And so for me, I do this to heal my legacy, to make sure that my daughter doesn't experience what I went through, to make sure that we're changing the future for all women. Because when one woman rises, we all rise as a collective. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I want to thank you, everyone, for being here, for putting your trust in me. I do not take that lightly. I appreciate everyone who comes on Instagram. The program is closed right now, Mimi. The program is closed. It opens on February 5th. Okay. There's a bunch of bonuses. Go to pelvicpainrelief.com. You're going to find all my programs there. I always forget to plug myself. I should plug myself more. There's a question. I was just about to say goodbye. Okay. My mom has a prolapse, had a mesh put in years ago, but now has been told she should have a pessary. Should she have more options? This is the thing. I believe in second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions, and then at the end of the day, I go inward. And that's a great question. Thank you for putting that. And I listen to my inner voice and what I feel is the right choice for me. But you got to get quiet in order for that to happen. Not only quiet, but you also got to tune in real deep into your body and know how to heal yourself. So most women who have a menstruation, they also prolapse, they also have pain. This is, can you put that question back up? This is typical and it's not all loss. Okay. She should definitely, if have an evaluation with a pelvic floor physical therapist. I'm always keen on that. Go back to the surgeon. Ask them, hey, this is, tell them what's happening, right? To figure this out. Women need a team, right? But you're the captain of the boat and you stir the boat. And when you stir the boat, you also change your legacy, the legacy of the women that are to come and the women who are here. So think about that. It's a big responsibility. I'm here for you. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, everyone.